Downey Jr. returning, and Secret Wars new report is not. Let's see what the Cosmic Wonder has to say about this and check this out.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Warren Thompson, and there have been a lot of talks recently about Robert Downey Jr. returning to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And even though we are in the multiversal saga, and variants are a very real thing right now, there are still other ways that Robert Downey Jr. could return besides being a variant of himself. But obviously, of course, a big one would be Robert Downey Jr. returning in Avengers Secret Wars as an actual variant of himself, returning as Tony Stark from another universe. Recently, we heard some reports that Spider-Man is going to be the leader of the Avengers moving forward with Kang Dynasty. So I think it would be really cool if a version of Tony Stark played by Robert Downey Jr. showed up in Secret Wars so we could have that moment, that emotional moment for at least Peter Parker to see his mentor once again, who of course is gone. So let's make it clear that Tony Stark isn't being revived. He's not coming back to life in some magical way. We're talking about him showing up as a variant of himself or in some type of hologram, possibly in the Ironheart series, or maybe even Armor Wars. There have been a lot of rumors going around about his return, and recently Jonathan Majors, who plays Kang in the MCU now, has commented that he would love to act with Robert Downey Jr. and he would love to see Kang and Iron Man interact. Now, recently a Marvel Studios executive commented on Robert Downey Jr. no longer being a part of the MCU, and I think a lot of people are misunderstanding what he said. A lot of people have took what this person said as a no, Robert Downey Jr. will never come back to reprise his role as Tony Stark or a variant in any way whatsoever. However, that is not what he meant. So there is still hope that Robert Downey Jr. could return and make at least a cameo. So let's break down this new report. In an interview with IO9, Marvel Studios VP of Production and Development Stephen Broussard talked about the new generation of heroes stepping to the forefront in Phase 4, 5, and 6. And in this interview, he said Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man is no longer on the table. And a lot of people assumed this meant that Robert Downey Jr. is no longer on the table to return for a cameo in the MCU at all ever again. However, let's take a look at what he said. He said, well, I think one of the meta-narratives of Phase 4 was about new characters. It was about new people stepping into mantles. If you look at like Cassie Lang in Quantumania getting a suit, and Kate Bishop in Hawkeye, new characters being introduced like Jack in Werewolf by Night. After these first 10 years of Marvel storytelling, torches are being passed, like with Robert Downey Jr. no longer being on the table and stuff like that. So it was kind of like a new generation stepping to the forefront, which, again, has always happened in the comics. So as you can see here in this interview, he is not saying that Robert Downey Jr. can't ever return in a cameo-like fashion where he plays a variant of himself or perhaps a hologram or AI. All he was doing is stating that in Phase 4 and Phase 5, when this new saga begun, Iron Man was off the table because he died in Avengers Endgame. So don't take what he said as him saying he can't return, because that isn't what he's saying at all. In fact, if we've learned anything from the comics, it's that characters can definitely return in some way, shape, or form. And several insider accounts online have even stated that they do expect to see Robert Downey Jr. in Avengers Secret Wars, and this just makes sense. And it does kind of line up with some things that we've heard Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, is actually going to do. And also, not to mention, there's been a lot of talk recently that Superior Iron Man, specifically Tom Cruise as Superior Iron Man, could show up in Secret Wars as well. But let's take a look at what they're doing for Deadpool 3. At this point in time, it's pretty much confirmed that the old X-Men are going to be returning. After all, we already do have Hugh Jackman returning, so hearing that other X-Men are going to be returning as well isn't that much of a surprise. And according to Grace Randolph, Kevin Feige is also going to bring back the original X-Men not only in Deadpool 3, but also in Avengers Secret Wars as well. And she states that the reason that he wants to do this is so that they can get a proper goodbye in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Keep in mind, Kevin Feige started his Marvel career with the first X-Men film in 2000, and then he worked on all of the X-Men movies that came after that. So they are his start, and many of the X-Men, the original X-Men actors, have expressed that they wish they could have been a part of the MCU. Well, it looks like Kevin Feige is making their dreams come true. He's making them a part of the MCU and giving them their final goodbye, so they can finally say a true goodbye to their characters after Secret Wars. Now, Kevin Feige bringing back Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man wouldn't exactly be for a goodbye. We already got a goodbye with Avengers Endgame. Tony Stark got a whole funeral, and Natasha got, well, nothing. So Robert Downey Jr. returning in Secret Wars would kind of simply be for fan service. And it's fan service that I think a lot of people would like, because it doesn't actually negate anything. It doesn't take away from the death of Iron Man in Avengers Endgame. They're not undoing his death by having him return as a variant. Rather, they could actually give us some pretty interesting scenes. Like I mentioned, our Spider-Man could see a Tony Stark variant and get very emotional over it. And recently, Jonathan Majors, like I said, expressed his interest in acting with Robert Downey Jr. and having Kang go up against Iron Man. Here's what he said in a recent interview with Lifehacker. In regards to Iron Man and Kang going up against each other, possibly in the future, he said, "I would love to be across from him on screen to see how our philosophies, acting-wise and character-wise, just personally, match up. You know, I find him to be such a fascinating artist, which is why Iron Man is so fascinating. His portrayal of Iron Man is so fascinating, and he represents a very clear world view and energy of the Avengers, and I think Kang represents a different era." And he ended it by saying, "It'd be really interesting to see those two kind of come together and have a bit of conversation." So, Jonathan Majors, who plays the big bad of this entire saga, wants Robert Downey Jr. to return as Iron Man. But of course, like we've been saying, not undo his death, simply as a variant. And speaking of variants, there has been a lot of talk recently, and this is just a rumor for now, but there has been a lot of talk recently about Tom Cruise possibly appearing as Superior Iron Man in Secret Wars. According to the rumor mill, again not confirmed, we could be getting a major scene with Superior Iron Man, who isn't exactly a good Iron Man, in Secret Wars. Now, most of us know that Tom Cruise was almost Iron Man before Robert Downey Jr., so it would be really cool to see him as Superior Iron Man. We thought we were going to get it in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but instead we just got what looked to be Superior Iron Man Ultron bots, although they could be from Reed. But if we do get a Tom Cruise cameo as Superior Iron Man, it makes us wonder if we still will get a Robert Downey Jr. cameo. It most certainly is possible to get a cameo from both of them. In fact, it would be good to show that variants can differ so much that some are good and some are bad. That would be really cool, and it would be really good fan service. And if you think, well, Marvel probably won't do that just for the fan service, well, that's exactly what they did in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And the president of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, basically confirmed that he did it essentially for fan service. He did it for the fans. He thought it would be cool. So this is entirely possible. It is entirely in Marvel's realm, but the best part of it is that it makes actual sense. Secret Wars is going to be all about the multiverse and different heroes from other universes. It would actually make sense to see an Iron Man variant in the movie. And luckily for us, nobody at Marvel Studios has said that it's off the table. So I hope this cleared things up for you, and although it's not confirmed, I hope everybody is excited about the potential of Robert Downey Jr. possibly returning as a cameo in Avengers Secret Wars. But let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos and news. You can always follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.
Subscribe, like this video, and see you guys bye. Have a great night, and see you guys bye.